Manufacturers like Tesla, electric vehicle makers, have promised all sorts of things, including low maintenance costs, easy repairs, and even battery swaps. But so far, things have been exactly the opposite, as we've seen in the United States. Electric cars are not only less reliable, but also cost a fortune to repair, ranging from $10,000 to an incredible $50,000. This has led electric cars straight to the junkyard. Here are 8 reasons why this is happening. Number 8. Lack of charging infrastructure. The charging station network is still insufficient to serve all electric car owners or as convenient as gas stations. This can make long trips difficult and create range anxiety. For example, in rural or less developed areas of the United States, the availability of charging stations is significantly lower. An electric car driver may struggle to find a charging station during a long trip, which can lead to range anxiety. Additionally, there are reports of queues at charging stations in some parts of the United States, especially during peak travel periods like holidays, which can be a headache and sometimes delay your trip. Number 7. Charging time. Charging an electric car takes longer than refueling a gasoline car, without a doubt. While fast chargers are available, they are still not as common, and the time required for a full charge can be inconvenient. For instance, charging a Tesla Model X, it takes up to 3 days for a full charge on a standard charger, and about 30 minutes for 80%, 60 minutes for 100% on a supercharger. But finding one available can take a long time. Number 6. Limited range. Many electric car models still have limited range compared to gasoline vehicles. This can be a problem for people taking long trips or without easy access to charging stations. Most electric vehicles have a range of 100 to 300 miles when fully charged. More affordable models, like the Nissan Leaf, have a range of about 150 miles, which may be insufficient for longer trips without careful planning for charging stops, causing many problems on your trip because of this problem. Number 5. Lack of trained professionals raises repair costs in the United States. One of the biggest promises of electric car manufacturers is low operating costs. According to them, electric cars are simpler than gasoline cars and therefore easier and cheaper to repair. Moreover, they are expected to be more reliable. However, the experience with electric cars so far shows that this is not true. On the contrary, they have proven to be significantly more expensive to repair than internal combustion cars for several reasons. The main one is the lack of trained professionals. Practically every market in the world lacks qualified mechanics to work on electric cars. In the United States, for example, only about 12% of all mechanics are licensed to work on battery electric vehicles. As the number of electric cars in the market increases, the problem becomes even larger. To better understand, the United States will face a shortage of about 20,000 trained professionals when internal combustion engine cars are banned in 2035. In the United States, President Joe Biden has committed to producing 2/3 of all new cars in the U.S. electric vehicles by 2032, and major manufacturers, including General Motors, have announced they will stop producing vehicles with internal combustion engines entirely by 2035. We are talking about the basic principle of supply and demand, so it was expected that repair prices would increase due to the constant lack of labor. If you own an electric vehicle, the first challenge is to find a skilled and licensed mechanic to work on electric vehicles. But even if you find it after researching and searching a lot, you won't feel any relief. When you see the average repair costs of internal combustion engine cars compared to electric vehicles, you'll see a ridiculous difference in money. Electric car experts like to highlight several reasons for the high repair costs of vehicles. First, the complexity of the technology, as these cars have intricate electrical systems, such as batteries, inverters, and motors. In addition, repairs to electric cars raise safety concerns, as mechanics work with high voltage systems that pose a risk of electric shock. Number 4. Collisions often result in total loss. Electric cars may have fewer parts than their internal combustion equivalents, but this is not necessarily an advantage. Collisions are probably the best example, because even minor accidents can cause major problems, especially regarding battery design and durability. Even a small defect may require you to replace it and spend a fortune that can reach more than $22,000. In addition, even relatively small collisions can cause critical damage to important electronic components, and again, there is no possibility of repair, only parts replacements. In such situations, and considering still the lack of spare parts in the electric car universe, expensive repairs end up being just part of the problem. Another problem besides those already mentioned is that these repairs often take weeks, making the process not only expensive, but also time-consuming and frustrating. Imagine you need to fix something on the car, and it needs to be quick, because you need the car for work. With electric cars, this is a big challenge. Insurers are fully aware of these challenges. Instead of spending considerable amounts on repairs, they often opt for total loss. Even in relatively simple accidents that damage the battery or other crucial components, the vehicle is categorized as a total loss. This naturally triggers a domino effect on insurance premiums, which becomes significantly higher for electric vehicles. Number 3. Electric cars are quickly scraps. For example, Tesla damaged instantly becomes scrap cars. With all we've discussed, it's no surprise that most damaged Teslas end up in this condition. Recently, Scrap Life posted a video showing a huge junkyard where we can see the lot full of damaged Teslas. What becomes clear in this video is that most of these cars have minor damages that would normally be easily repaired in days and at a reasonable cost if they were combustion engine cars. Owners could continue using their vehicles without any problems. However, the situation is different for Teslas due to the reasons we mentioned: high fortunes to repair electric cars, lack of spare parts, and lack of mechanics who know how to repair an electric car and numerous other problems. As a result, most electric vehicle owners choose to sell them for the value equivalent to battery scrapping. Since this is the most precious and expensive asset of the car, what is even more interesting is that there is not much demand for damaged electric cars for repair, so they end up being dismantled as scrap. It seems that there is little potential to reuse them as spare parts. Maybe in 2 or 7 years, we will treat used cars in the same way we treat used iPhones or other used electronic devices, where it is better to buy a new one because it is cheaper to repair. The future will tell how this will develop. Number 2, electric cars are hard to fix. And it's not just mechanics. As we mentioned, repair costs are extremely high for electric cars. Body damage and typical mechanical problems are not the only reason. There is much more involved, and we will now show that first of all, electric cars require constant software updates. We are talking about software that controls various systems, such as batteries, engines, regenerative braking, driver assistance, and much more, because everything is through software that controls the car. So all features need to be constantly updated to avoid car problems. However, offline updates often don't work well. Instead, owners are often required to visit dealerships to resolve software bugs, which can be a source of frustration for owners as well as a waste of time. Number 1, electric cars simply aren't reliable. Even considering everything mentioned so far, repair costs on electric cars wouldn't be a big problem if these vehicles were reliable. In theory, they should be, due to the significantly smaller number of parts compared to internal combustion cars. However, in practice, this is still a recent technology that needs time for improvement. Every year increases the number of serious problem cases with electric cars catching fire and losing control of the car, as happened at a fair in China. Based on this, it's no wonder that recent studies clearly indicate that electric cars face more problems than gasoline vehicles. An example of this is the extensive study by Consumer Reports, which analyzed the reliability of electric car owners, and we can see that this confidence is still very low compared to gasoline cars. But here in the comments, you have or would have an electric car. Tell me in the comment, and do you think cars are the solution?